Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jill, otherwise known as the Enlightened Target, and this channel is devoted to narcissistic abuse awareness and recovery, parental alienation, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and anything and everything having to do with those three main topics. Today's topic is one that I know so many of us have had to deal with and come to terms with the damage that it has caused to our lives. Today we're talking about narcissistic fathers and the impact that they have on their children. This is a topic that I unfortunately know a whole lot about, and it's usually incredibly significant when we analyze our lives as adults and why we have made many of the decisions that we have. Narcissistic fathers have a profound impact on the lives of their children. The damage and harm that they cause can be lifelong if we do not explore this issue, make the connections necessary, and realize who is really responsible. So many times narcissistic fathers infect and contaminate our own beliefs about who we are, our value, and our self-worth, and that's a tragedy. So today we're talking about narcissistic fathers and the impact they have on their children. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I would like to invite you to please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell also, because I'll be putting out new videos every week. Also, please leave any of your experiences that you may have had with a narcissistic father in the comments below. So much of our healing is sharing our stories. When we are talking about any narcissist, they all have the same underlying core toxic personality traits. They are entitled, they lack empathy, and they are exploitative. And if the narcissist is your parent, they will indeed demonstrate and expose their children to these behaviors. The effects that a narcissistic parent has on their children is profound. It shapes what the child feels and believes about themselves. And since the narcissist tends to project the deep shame and self-hatred and emptiness they actually feel about themselves onto others, their own children are not an exception to this rule. And when you are a defenseless, innocent child who loves and is completely dependent on this person, and you inherently believe everything they say and do, you will internalize so much of what you experienced from them, and you will adopt a lot of these beliefs about the world and about yourself to some degree. It is impossible to have a parent who is a narcissist and not be damaged by how they have treated you and the things they have told you about yourself. Exposure to any narcissist is incredibly damaging and abusive, for adults. Multiply that by 1,000,000 if you're a child exposed to a narcissist, and multiply that by 100,000,000 when the child is raised and exposed to a narcissistic parent and caregiver from day one. Narcissistic fathers tend to select children to either be what is known as the golden child or the scapegoat child, and their roles are very different. The narcissist will view the golden child as the wonderful one, the one that is a reincarnation of them and all the amazing qualities and talents that go with that. The golden child will usually enjoy liberties and entitlements reserved only for them. They are spoiled and pampered, and they are praised continually. The narcissist usually views that child as a complete extension of themselves, and therefore projects this delusion of perfection and superiority onto this child. And on the other side of this, there will usually be a child selected to be the scapegoat child, and this is the one who takes the blame for everything. The one that's the problem and is criticized, many times humiliated, demeaned, and just flat out abused as they grow up. They get all the shit dumped onto them. They take the majority of the burden and the blame for all of the kids. Now, sometimes depending on how many children the narcissist has, he will switch between his children on who is the golden child. Sometimes one child will be the chosen one, and then he will switch to another one. Usually, when I have seen this happen, The father will simply do this because there is something specific that that child is giving the father in the form of narcissistic supply. So, for example, if one child starts to perform really well in sports or academics, and the father gains narcissistic supply from that child, he will start treating that child as the golden child. And I have seen the scapegoat child switch from child to child as well, but not as much as I have seen the golden child change in these families. The important point to make here is that both the golden child and the scapegoat child are subjected to abuse from the narcissistic father. They are just completely different forms of abuse. The golden child will usually be entitled, arrogant, will unfortunately take on many of the abusive and deplorable behaviors of their narcissistic father. Many times the golden child will become a narcissist as well. And in my book, raising a child to believe that they are superior and to become abusive and cruel to other people is child abuse. I would not wish anyone the misfortune of becoming a narcissist. That would be a miserable and meaningless, shallow existence. The scapegoat experiences a very different form of abuse, and in my opinion, a much more extreme form of abuse, but without the lifelong devastating consequences if they are able to realize what happened to them and heal. The scapegoat is subjected to ridicule, humiliation, criticism. They are shamed and blamed continually throughout their childhood. Many times they are neglected and just ignored as if they aren't, even good enough to have the attention of their narcissistic father. He will treat this child as if they are just a complete and total waste of time. It's usually a combo between abuse and neglect. This child will absorb the majority of the projection of the deep negative beliefs and shame that the narcissistic father feels about himself. Of course, the scapegoat won't be privy to this information as a child, and unfortunately, this child will internalize many of those beliefs as truth. There is sometimes a child in this family dynamic known as the lost child. This child realizes very early on that the family is dysfunctional and that they cannot help or fix anyone. This child plays by the rules, doesn't anger the narcissistic parent, and usually starts plotting their escape from this family pretty early on in life. They don't expect or demand much from their family. They're pretty independent usually. They don't want to bring any attention to themselves. So because of this, they're left out. They're neglected and ignored. They know that their family members are messed up, but they also feel incredibly unloved and many times unwanted. So as you can see, if you are the golden child, the scapegoat child, or the lost child of a narcissistic father, you're exposed to abuse, neglect, and extremely damaging behaviors. It's just the type of abuse and neglect can look very different from child to child. Now, I would like to elaborate on how differently this type of parenting affects a son or a daughter of a narcissistic father, because the outcomes for this child can be very, very dramatic depending on their gender. It's, sad and heartbreaking for both boys and girls who have a narcissistic father. If we were talking about a daughter of a narcissistic father, then this girl is going to have a very high probability of ending up with a narcissistic man as an adult. A girl's father is her model of how men behave, how they treat her, how she deserves to be treated. He is her roadmap to what lies ahead for her. Unfortunately, that usually means she will associate love with control, abuse, and neglect. It's incredibly confusing for a daughter to be raised by a narcissistic father who exhibits such harmful behaviors towards her, but then also tells her that he loves her and we believe our parents. And we love them. He will treat her with contempt. She will witness narcissistic rages her entire childhood, more than likely. He will degrade her, humiliate her, ignore her, neglect, criticize, emotionally and verbally assault her at will. Then, on occasion, he'll treat her like a princess, all the while telling her that he loves her when he is abusive and when he's kind. And because of this, she will have a very, very distorted understanding of what love looks like from a man. She learned as a child that she has no voice, no opinion, and her wishes meant little to nothing. She was controlled, manipulated, and emotionally and psychologically abused from the get-go. Unfortunately, unless she has some awakening to the reality of what her father is, it is highly probable that she will walk right into a marriage with a man just like her father. To her, abuse and selfishness, the gaslighting, the neglect, the lies all feel normal or just like an inevitable part of life. The daughter of a narcissistic father has such low standards for what love and partnership look like. And all narcissistic men can see this insecurity on her and the damage that having a father like this has caused, and they can see this from a million miles away. So they will inherently be attracted to her. And if she is unaware of what her father is by the time she's an adult, if she doesn't come to realize that her father is disturbed and that his behavior is abusive, if she doesn't come to understand that there is nothing wrong with her, that the things her father projected onto her as a child were not true, nothing is wrong with her, but something is very wrong with her father, she usually will never know this is wrong, and that this is not love, and that she deserves so much more. In my opinion, for a daughter who has a father like this, it is a necessity to understand and label her father for exactly what he is. I'm not saying that she shouldn't love her father, but she has got to get to know the truth and come to grips with the reality. Otherwise, she could easily carry the internalized beliefs about herself that are not hers to carry and not hers to live with. They are her father's. And in my opinion, she needs to hand those back to him on a silver platter. For sons of narcissistic fathers, the outcome usually will have one of two scenarios. If the boy is the golden child, then it's highly probable that this child will become a narcissist as well. Unless this boy has some type of protection and influence from others that will model to him that he is not special, that he is not entitled to these things, and that it's wrong to treat other human beings the way their father has role modeled to them, then it's highly likely this boy will be highly narcissistic or become a full-blown narcissist himself, which for those of us who understand narcissistic personality disorder, we would rather die than see one of our children develop this personality disorder. I know that some of you who are watching this video are dealing with a child who you either suspect is developing this or has developed it, and my heart absolutely breaks for you. No loving parent would want this outcome for their child. The scapegoat and the lost child have a chance of freeing themselves from this curse, but many times the golden child has little to no chance of escaping. Don't misunderstand. There are certainly golden children who do not develop narcissistic personality disorder, but there are so many who do. If the son is the scapegoat, he's going to have a lot to sort through as well. When a son is in this position, the father is usually so cruel and incredibly neglectful to this child. He will usually have lots of self-esteem issues. He'll need to understand also that his father is disturbed and that how he was treated was a reflection of who his father is as a human being, not him. Many times the son of a narcissistic father will actually be dealing with their father's jealousy of them. Narcissistic fathers don't want their scapegoat to succeed. They want to keep them around forever to abuse and blame. Many times this father will not even want the golden child to succeed, at least not, more than he himself. Narcissistic fathers are highly jealous and envious of their sons. So they'll go a very long way to sabotage their lives and their chances of success. This is why it's incredibly important for sons and daughters of a narcissistic parent to come to understand exactly what they have gone through so that they can hand the horrible, cruel, neglectful beliefs and feelings the narcissist has projected onto them right back to the narcissistic parent. I honestly believe that it's a necessary step to healing from this, because if there is any doubt in your mind that what your parent did to you was normal or justified or deserved or okay, it's inevitably going to affect you in a negative way as an adult. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Also, please share this with anyone that you think could benefit from seeing it. Thanks so much for watching.